Everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for the prayer. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you so much for this evening. This will be our last meeting before we have a national election and numerous other positions that are up for grabs. And we pray for your peace upon this country. We pray for your guidance and wisdom upon this country and upon the voters, not just within this community, but throughout. Pray that your will be done. Regardless of whatever the turnout may be, we pray that we move forward together, knowing that we all have a common goal, and that is to live in a great country, peacefully, with a roof over our heads, surrounded by loved ones, with a good job, and a bright future. And we know that your will for us is for good. You've told us so. We pray that we accept the guidance and the wisdom that you impart upon us and faithfully be representatives of you in our own community and with those that we surround ourselves with. We pray for your wisdom in this meeting. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
All right. The first time I've not missed a public hearing for a while, so that's good. Jan, if you would, a roll call.
Brandon Elmore,
Present.
Bob Leahy.
Here.
Nathan Conklin.
Present.
Tim Heiss.
Here.
Peter Briggs.
Here.
All right. Consent agenda. Trust you've had an opportunity to review it. What questions or comments do you guys have? If not, I would entertain a motion for approval.
I'll move we accept the consent agenda as presented.
I'll second.
We have first and second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Consent agenda carried. Approved, I should say. Starting with department reports and comments. For myself, just some clarity on rock. There might have been some confusion on Facebook. It was brought to my attention by my wife last night. Just some heads up, just to help clarify. It's not a city. The city is not renovating this house per se. It's a line of credit that's backed by the city. It's actually paid for by rock by the sale of the house plus interest. So no tax dollars are being used in the pursuit of this construction or this house being renovated. That includes the supplies and everything. So just some clarity around that. And the flag, there's also been some question mark or some questions raised as to, okay, why are we having a flag? Why do we need a flag? There's been a couple questions. Actually, it's been very, very, very well received overall. But just for edification upon the viewing audience, for anybody that may not know or be questioning, when the Ohio side mayor passed, God rest his soul, back earlier this year, very, very, very prematurely, I tried to have the flags lowered to half-mast. And I was made aware by a member of the military in our community who's since moved on, but it's Mr. Bobby Durbin. Somebody might be interested to know he was a pallbearer at Ronald Reagan's funeral, so quite distinguished and a citizen of Union City for years. That he made it known very respectfully, I did not have that authority. Only state governors and the President of the United States have that authority. And I felt bad because I wanted to honor the Ohio mayor in his service, although be it brief. He had a tremendous heart for the community. And I got to thinking, I was like, that's not the first dignitary to pass either. And it would be nice to be able to honor members of the military that passed locally or service, individuals. And so I thought, what if we had our own flag? Because we could have that lowered to half-mast to honor and to show, pay respect and to honor a time of mourning in our own community. And so that's what begat that. But it also goes deeper than that, because I also I like the idea of unity, because we are one city. And I have talked to the Ohio side mayor about this endeavor. He is behind it. He's approaching the Ohio side council to get their thoughts. And he feels good about it, but we don't know 100%, you know, how that's going to go. But if you look at the flag proposed designs, there is a lot behind them. There's subject matter behind the colors. These flags weren't just drawn up by randomly. They represent a purpose, okay? And so the idea is this flag, once adopted, once voted upon by the general public and adopted, would represent both literally and figuratively the very fiber or very fabric of this community as one, both sides. And that's why it's designed the way it is. You see both states, you see the star in the middle. That's the basic premise of the three options, because we want to be one, because we're stronger as one. And so that's the kind of the background on that. It does not, yes, we need jobs. This does not take away. There's individuals I've spoken to on this council over the last few days that we've had discussions specifically about jobs, that there's a lot of things we're working on in development, including houses and businesses, that we're working on tediously every day. And that is first and foremost. But if you've ever raised a family, or if you've ever owned a home, or if you've ever lived in a home, or if you've ever had a pulse, you know that there's things in your life that there's a myriad of things that you have to do, and some do rate more important than the others, but it doesn't mean you don't do the others, okay? And so that's what it is. Yeah, we're concentrating on jobs and housing and so forth, but there's a lot of other things that go on in this community every day that we're trying to put it all together and make us stronger. You know, I've always used the equation, if you take a big vehicle, like take a giant lawnmower, take the spark plug out of it and see how far it goes. Spark plug looks this big. It looks like it's meaningless, you know, but it makes all the difference. So don't discount the small things in life that add up to something big. Department heads. You guys have anything you want to, because we're blessed with our street superintendent's presence, and that's, and I know he doesn't like the spotlight on him, so he's turning 3 shades of red. Jan,
Yes.
anything?
Yeah, I do have a couple
Okay.
of things. I passed out code of ordinance books, some inserts for that. Just please make sure that you do the steps. They're the blue papers, that blue paper on top. Make sure you do step 1 first and then step 2 when you're inserting them into the books. Then also, I just wanted you to be aware that I'm going to have to do an additional appropriation, which we'll have to pass a resolution for. So I just want to bring that up now. We're not going to pass it today. It'll probably be the second meeting in November. But we need to do an additional appropriation of $20,000 out of general for the assistant city manager salaries, because when we passed the budget for last year, we did not have the assistant city manager position, so now that we do, we have to appropriate funds for that. Also for edit, we appropriated $175,000. We spent almost the entire thing on the Columbia Street sidewalk project. So there's about $10,000 of other things that we usually spend edit funds on, so I need to do an additional appropriation for that. And if with the facade grant, you want to add it to it, then that's another thing on top of the $10,000. And then for stormwater, we instituted a stormwater fee, and we're doing a stormwater project. That fund was new this year, so we had not appropriated any funds out of that. So we're going to need to appropriate some funds out of that for the project that we're doing right now. And the other thing I have is I put on your desk some information about the tennis courts out at the park. And I don't know when you want to talk about that, but there were some bids there. And we would need approval to spend to resurface the tennis courts and pickleball courts. And I could let Tim talk about that if you'd like, because it was brought up in the board works meeting, and they recommended the bid for $18,800, and wanted to know, or asking council to approve that.
Tim, do you want?
Yeah, the bids as they stand in order. The first bid is for you can see the description, but milling the large cracks, and this would be, and 1.5 inches of hot mix asphalt on 2 tennis courts, which would be the one that's still, be the 2 west courts, the one that's still in use as a tennis court or available as a tennis court, and the one that has the pickleball court on it.
Gotcha.
They would be done as one would still, the one court would still have the pickleball plastic court system on it. The other one would have lines painted in both tennis and pickleball, so it can be used dual purpose. We're looking at it from the standpoint of the other 2 courts haven't had nets on them and been used for quite some time, and they're in pretty poor condition. And the Board of Works has felt that and the Park and Street Department personnel felt that those courts aren't necessary because most people use the school courts for tennis. So the city courts are primarily used for pickleball. And so the first, and originally when Dennis had gotten bids, he got bids for all 4 courts. So you'll see the first bid of 18.8, and that's just the 2 courts. And then the second bid is all 4 courts, and then from KBL Transport. And if anybody's not familiar with KBL Transport, if you might remember Landon Excavating, and also, shoot, Monte, I can't remember the name of the company before, when it was before Landon, it was, I said Bill Davis owned, but now but the company that we've dealt with for a number of years in other occasions, so they have a really good reputation. And then we also have bids from Wagner Paving for nearly the same project, only with 2 inches of asphalt at $24,000 and for the 2 courts, and $40,000 for the 4 courts. And the last bid is we looked at the option of just asphalt ceiling, which is kind of a Band-Aid and not really what needs. We're really beyond that stage, what needs to be done, but he had gotten that bid. So the Board of Works had recommended the first bid of 18.8 for surfacing the 2 courts, and so that's, the council can discuss that.
Jan, how much is it? Do you have readily handy what's in the park fund?
Well, with the park, we didn't spend all that was appropriated, so there's still 61,000 of unappropriated, or of appropriated funds left in the Park and Rec, but this probably won't be done this year.
Okay.
He wants to get it approved so he can go ahead and get it in line for the spring of next year to get it done right away, so that we don't delay it.
And we appropriated about the same amount for 2021 as we did 2020, did we not, for the park?
We did, and so there will be funds left over from this year that are not spent because the pool wasn't open. So what I'm proposing is that, and there should be more than I'm estimating, but there probably is going to be like 40,000 at least that we wouldn't have spent this year.
Okay.
So I know there's this, and then there's the concrete for the pool. So we would probably then do an additional appropriation next year to do those 2 projects, because those funds won't be appropriated next year. They're appropriated this year but not used, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's one thing I did leave out, that this wouldn't be done until 2021, but needs to be confirmed to get the price locked and get on the schedule so that it gets done early enough in the spring, so that we don't, so the courts can be used. Absolutely. Without really any much interruption.
I will say this, I know I see Bob quite a bit at the park, and I don't know, Bob, what your take has been, because Bob gets a lot of fluid exercise in out there too. But the times I've spent out there, I'm out there about 5 days a week with the lights, and that pickleball court is used every time I'm out there. It's pretty impressive, and so for what it's worth, it is utilized quite frequently, actually. But this is obviously up for you guys for discussion and decision.
Oh, and I'll clarify one thing, that some might say, well, gee, why do you have to repave the section with the synthetic court system on it, but there's, holes and imperfections under that court that creates dead spots, so that it's, Jan can attest to.
The ball just sits there.
That
Yeah,
you have to know, you gotta know where the ball's going at certain times. And, I don't know.
I played on
maybe
basketball courts like that.
she probably uses that to her advantage at times. But it needs to have a uniform surface underneath
That makes sense.
and kept from deteriorating. So.
Makes sense.
I've got a question. This quote says, does not include any striping of new
Yeah.
courts. Do we know,
Well,
can our city people?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. That's the next thing is
And do we
that
know how much that would cost?
Dennis says it's nominal. It's not. It's just enough paint to do it, and I don't think I think it's just gonna be striped, not painted
Not
in.
paint the whole thing?
Paint the whole surface
Okay.
necessarily, unless somebody wants that done, then.
Then they can pay for it.
But even that, I don't think is terribly hateful.
Yeah.
Just for the tennis court part of it.
I'm sorry, if you would please stand, state your name,
Sky Reagan.
where's your address? Sorry.
When they're fixing the tennis court, it would be nice if they could do something with the fence so the ball don't go out of the thing if it gets by there. A lot of times
Oh,
when we're
really?
playing tennis, you have to go outside to
Yeah.
get your ball because there's a gap between
Well,
where
And
the seat-
glad you brought that up, Scott. There is gonna be, Dennis's proposal is to remove the other two tennis courts entirely because they're in really bad shape. And, then we'll have to do some fence work. And I'm not sure what we're gonna get into exactly with that, but we will have to do some fence work on the east side of the pickleball court.
Okay.
So we can address that, and duly noted, we'll address that and make
There's a
sure we
gap.
get the gap
There's not enough
repaired.
gap for a pickleball to get through, but there is enough
But
gap.
it is for a tennis ball, yeah.
Gotcha.
Well, if you didn't let the ball get past you.
Now he wants to talk, yeah.
Point of kind of information, I guess, question is, the first page and the second page are the same company, and to do the additional two courts, we're looking at less than $7,000.
Yeah.
Is there a want or need to ever have a second pickleball court or a second tennis court? Because in my mind, it'd be cheaper for us to spend the $7,000 now than
It doesn't all at once.
get hit with $18,000 again in 18 months to 2 years.
And that's a good question, because I also wonder, Jan, and not to sound cheesy, but are there such things as like pickleball tournaments?
Well,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
I don't know that we've ever held, I mean, I don't know that we'd ever hold one, but it's possible, I suppose.
How many courts are used when there is a pickleball tournament?
I've never been to one, I'm not that serious about it.
Hunt me down. Good
Well,
to know.
one of the things we could do is we could authorize this to go, and we could always research this and possibly modify it. I'm sure they wouldn't have a problem with us adding to if we approve the two courts, and then
With the
decide we wanna do all four courts.
With the
Here,
option of doing all.
This winter, we might, and we might even have him say that we're considering the other quote. If that's,
Another question. That same thing, Greenville has tons of people that come to when they have horseshoe tournaments. So, I mean, I don't know anything about pickleball
Yeah.
tournaments, but if that's something that you said you could specialize in, that would be, that could
So
also-
we're always trying to draw people in,
Yeah.
you know, and so if we think forward,
Well, that
Nate's
was-
point,
that
it
was-
sounds like it's economies of scale. You know,
One-
there is a tremendous gap here.
yeah, well, a lot of us, just the cost of
Moving equipment.
moving equipment in and bringing,
Yeah.
hauling material is you get a lot of economy of scale when you add to it, so
Yes.
that's something that's something to consider. Maybe that's, we could easily decide to add to it.
Union City gets a lot of people from Richmond, Greenville,
Mhm.
Portland to just play disc golf. Well,
Yes,
if we can add traffic to our park
Yep.
with a couple different courts,
right.
I don't know the feasibility. I don't play myself, but economies of scale was what I was kind of looking at here.
We probably, Brad, we probably need to utilize those other two courts as we'd like to. We probably need to do a little bit of work on lighting, I think, on the
Oh,
other courts.
absolutely.
And
For what
And
it's
we don't
worth.
have nets on the other two, but otherwise, that would be the primary factor.
That's the only reason why there hasn't been anything addressed as far as lighting or nets or anything like that on the two eastern courts, is they're just,
They're in bad enough condition that they're not
Yeah.
playable, yeah.
And for what it's worth, the majority of the activity I've witnessed out there has been during daylight hours.
Yeah,
For what it's
yeah.
worth.
Yeah,
So we'd have to address lighting on the other courts,
not necessarily, yeah, so,
or at least certainly not right
so that's
away.
something to consider, yeah, if everybody wants to go that way,
Yeah, I was thinking if people use preferably the city, the schools courts for tennis, why don't we just make all the ones at the park into pickleball courts?
well, but even still, we don't even have to commit, we only really are with the one surface that we have, kinda commits that court, but the other three can be dual purpose,
Yeah.
without any real extra expense.
Jan, were you getting ready to say something?
No, just that.
Oh, just what he said?
Mhm.
Okay.
So pickleball can be played on,
Yeah, there's just two sets of lines on there.
that's it, but we put the plastic or the, whatever it is, the
Well,
rubberized.
that court is just pickleball.
Yeah.
the reason we put that down was trying to,
Fix the problems.
yes, because that particular court wasn't in the best of condition anyway, but it was probably in the best condition of the four.
So this surface being presented would work perfectly for both,
For both, yeah.
as it is.
It would just be painted lines and a net.
Kind of like a volleyball court on top of a basketball court,
Yeah,
so to speak.
right.
So
Now, the net for tennis is a little bit higher, but you just put like a bungee cord or something, and then you just draw it down for pickleball.
Okay.
So we could potentially have a dual purpose, two additional dual purpose courts for not a huge increase.
Yeah.
So question, are we resurfacing just half of it and leaving the other, or are we doing?
Well, that's the
That's the
question. The first option is just the half of it, 2 courts, and the second option is 4 courts, and you're only looking at what, $6,500 difference to
I say we
do
do
all
all,
4.
Yeah.
I say we do the whole thing.
What we were looking at is if
It's
you
not
went
that
with
much
the
more.
lesser
It's a
of
lot.
the quotes,
Additional that you're getting.
would be to do the two, then we were probably gonna remove that asphalt on the other two to the east and put topsoil and seed that in grass, rather than let it just lay there and become more decrepit over
Yeah.
time.
That's gonna cost money to do that.
Is that, you talking about the skateboard?
No,
Yeah.
the tennis court.
There's 4 courts up top,
For
and then you
what?
go down, and then it's a skateboarding.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So it'd be the two eastern courts we were gonna just eliminate, so we didn't
Okay.
have to worry about maintaining them or doing anything to them.
So 6,500.
cost
we
right there.
retain that.
How much would it cost to rip them out and put grass seed? $6,800?
And you're not gonna get the use out of them then?
You have to mow it and spray weeds and weed killer and grass fertilizer and everything.
I moved.
It makes it sense to retain it.
Andre had a question.
I was just wondering about, so it'd just be like the courts, then like grass, then the skate.
If we took
That's
it
on
out,
the
yeah.
first
You know
proposal.
what I'm saying?
If we only approve the first proposal. If we
Yeah.
approve the second one, there'd be 4 potentially usable courts.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Well, and another consideration, we're talking about drawing people apart. The disc golf started off as what, 18 holes, and now it's 27, is that correct? Or is it 9 and then we'll get to 18?
26.
Oh, it's 26.
They're getting there.
Okay. I've never counted, obviously.
There is quite a bit of disc golf.
That's what I'm
Yeah,
saying,
there's a lot
when
of
we've
disc
added
golf.
more, all it's done is increase the traffic, because that's another thing,
Sunday.
I would bet my last ounce of blood, every time I'm out there with the lights, there's someone on that course doing disc golf. It doesn't matter what, the scary thing is, it doesn't matter the weather.
Yeah, they could be out there right now.
Yeah,
There's
Russ Riker's been out
there's
when the
people out
snow
there
has been
Sunday.
flying.
And I was like, alright.
I go running, I'm dodging frisbees.
Yeah.
What you ought to do is put out like a concession stand like they used to over in, Mayville.
Apologize, Anita, state your name
Jessica Holt,
and address.
514 Pearl. Yeah, but I think, cause that'd be something to bring in since we can't have the pool
Bring it.
anymore.
Well, we'll have the full
Concession.
next year.
Well, like the concession where you go and the money comes back into the city. Like it's like the cities, you know what I mean? Have you ever been over to Greenville when they used to have like nachos and streets and stuff like that, because there's really nothing out there for them to buy.
Oh, gotcha.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with
They have that
Greenville
central.
setup, so.
They used to, yeah, it was nice, but I don't think they do it now either.
Oh, gotcha.
But yeah, it'd be something.
Jessica,
that-
that's definitely something we can do because we do have that outside
Yeah.
roll-up window.
I was
Right.
thinking if there's that many people, then
Yeah.
That's a-
make some money and
That's a great point.
sell some
Great
stuff.
suggestion.
We could- Yeah, absolutely. That's a great suggestion. Well, you guys are council, what do you say?
Well, you make a motion.
Yeah, I move that we approve this second quote from KBL Transport for $25,300 to be completed in 2021, and then have our city people finish the striping for all 4 courts. I move that we do that.
We have a first, do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a first and second. Jan, if you would, roll call vote.
Brandon Elmore,
Yes.
Bob Leahy.
Yes.
Nathan Conklin.
Yes.
Tim Wright.
Yes.
Peter Frew.
Yes.
Jan, was there anything else?
Nope.
All right. Well, we'll go back to council members. Tito?
Anything in economic development, I wasn't able to make it.
I have to confess, I missed a meeting of the Randolph County Economic Development Board, and that's because I was confused. We have recently created another entity called Randolph County United. That new organization will bring in the Randolph Economic Development Board and the tourism and the Chamber of Commerce all together. So I went to that meeting, and so far what we're doing is just sort of brainstorming and team building, visioning, and we're still working on mission statements and that kind of thing. I think the takeover will be like next year,
January.
in January. My confusion was, well, the Randolph Economic Development Board is being replaced by Randolph County United, so I missed the development board's meeting.
So, right, I actually attended that meeting. The only thing coming out of pertinent was, or that what I was able to observe was they're actually, they were considering Bill Corbin for the county economic development site, which is nice because he's the one that does art, and they love the work that he does for Union City and that he's done, and they love our website. And so they're going to try to mirror that, that was the main topic of discussion, really. So, anything else, Tito?
I just had a couple questions. Does the city pay taxes to the county? And the reason I ask is that I see on page 1 of accounts payable register says we paid $1,093 to the Randolph County Treasurer.
Yes, we do. We pay property taxes.
Oh, yeah, our building.
We pay property taxes to the county for city buildings. Because I saw 3 entries.
No,
Not cities.
there's ditch assessments that we
Yeah.
pay,
Did just ask.
and then, there are some that we pay like for, Lonnie, help me. Like for,
The sweet shop building. Or
yeah, buildings that are, used for another purpose, I guess. They're not, Randolph, or, I guess the sweet shop would be one of them. But also if we buy any on
The houses,
get any houses that
yeah,
are condemned or whatever, that get transferred to us,
correct,
we own those and we have to pay taxes on those.
correct.
I see. Okay. Thank you.
And the sewage plant and the water is another one, that's the same thing, they're usually just ditch assessments and.
Okay, so we do pay taxes. Okay.
I can get you a spreadsheet of what we pay.
Oh, that'd be
individual
cool.
on each one, I can.
Yes, please. Thank you so much. Also, I keep driving by that backstay building and I'm not seeing any work being done. Is there a reason? Can we get an update on that, please?
I'll get with John, I know there's
Were
been,
you there today? Because
there's been guys
Not
there.
today.
there was 10 cars.
Oh, really?
They hooked up electric, they hooked up
But-
Spectrum.
The problem is they're inside, we
Yeah,
don't
they
see
blocked off
them.
the alley, they got the
That's been
temporary
busiest
location
place
set
for
up.
the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
They've
Oh my
been
gosh.
now.
Yeah.
There is absolutely being work done.
It's deceiving because the building is so big, and of course, nothing's been done to the facade yet. And so, they're on the inside, and, yeah, so, but good question.
All right. I think that's all I have.
All right, Tim?
No, I don't. You had the tennis courts was the only thing I had, so
No,
we covered
good
that.
deal. Nate?
I exchanged texts with Keith Payne today, on the Oak Street housing, and those should be plotted and filed in the next couple weeks.
Awesome.
Saw some big pile of gravel out there.
Yeah, it's being held as a staging area for another project
That's
sometime.
for
The, the storm sewer project, they're
Oh.
using that as their staging area.
Okay.
That was all I had.
No, that's cool. Good update. Bob?
Yeah, a couple things. I was unable to attend the area planning commission meeting last week. I was hoping to have minutes so I could maybe if there was anything, but she hadn't got those to me yet, so maybe by next meeting
Cool.
I'll have those. And glad to see Jessica here. She's got the new business uptown.
Yes.
I had the dog up there a week ago, a couple weeks ago.
Oh.
Let's get his nails.
Oh.
It's just beautiful. It's really nice.
That's fantastic.
Well, maybe she'll wanna talk about it a little bit or something.
Fantastic.
So, that's all I had.
Would you like to share about
I think there is gonna be an article in the paper this week. They actually came through and,
News Gazette?
yeah,
Okay.
and they spoke with me about it, and I took a picture for him because his camera was outdated. So I took a picture and sent it to him. He said mine was better. Yeah, Monte, you've been up there, haven't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, they've all been up there, but hopefully, we got some things in the works. I'm trying to find a couple other, dog trainers to come in and do classes in the evenings and weekends. I even thought about art classes, people that like to do their artsy painting stuff to rent out in the evenings. So they can do that and have a place that's clean and lit. So, yeah, trying to, my landlord's supposed to get me new doors too, so hopefully that'll happen. I'm trying to get a sign, but they want outrageous prices right now for signs.
So what is this business?
Country Man's Dog Grooming.
And you don't, it's not just dog grooming, right? You do, it's like, is there anything beyond dog grooming that you do?
Daycare, there's
Awesome.
dog daycare, and then there's,
And that's huge.
retail, there's some retail in there, not a
Oh.
lot yet.
Tina,
It's
she
low
used to
on
be out in the
time.
park.
Yeah.
She just moved in town.
You're having your big call from above.
I know, I'm
There's a
like,
voice.
who's this?
Jessica, I've got a 4x6 sign coming for you, but it's not quite ready. I should have it hopefully by the end of the week. So
Oh, okay.
I'll be delivering that as soon as we get it.
Okay, alright, thanks.
Well, that's just, we appreciate our businesses.
Where's that gonna be?
It's on the corner, you know where King K video used to be?
Yes.
It's right there, that location.
Okay.
Now, I do have a question though, when
Yeah.
is Hometown Coffee and them coming? Cause my client's from out of
I
town, and
know.
I have nowhere to send them.
I know.
Besides Mexican restaurant and Bowser's and Thistles and,
Travis apologized to me earlier this week, in fact, we communicated via text, over the weekend. And he goes, I know it's moving at snail's pace, but we are getting there. He's painstakingly, particular. He's glazed all the brick, and he's finished the ceiling, and now he's got to finish the floor. And, he is very particular, but yet at the same time, that's a good thing.
Oh, yeah.
Because,
Want it done
he wants it, yeah, he wants it to look nice. And if you've been to a store in Lynn, it's a really neat store.
I haven't, but I've had a couple clients bring me things from there.
Okay.
Yeah.
And hopefully he enjoyed it. But
Yeah.
he's very particular, and he's got a brand that he wants to, that's the way he wants it to look, so.
Well, I don't blame him.
Did he give an ETA?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
Jeff Barron brought me a cupcake and it was pretty good.
yeah.
Mr. Mayor, did he give an ETA?
And that's what I was trying to pull out of him. He just
2021?
as, no, he wants just as soon as possible. I would love to have it before Thanksgiving for sure, because it was supposed to be months ago.
Yeah.
Of course, COVID didn't help anything, but,
It's high
yes.
right now, everything, like,
Yes.
they've jacked all the prices up, the wood,
Oh, yeah,
everything for
yeah.
everybody,
yeah.
it's crazy.
Jessica brought up the little circle building in Greenville.
Yeah.
Rhonda grew up in Greenville.
Oh, okay.
She texted me and she said that, it was called the Roundhouse, and it's ran by the, developmental disabilities, runs the Roundhouse.
Okay. And
I
that gives us,
remember, I always loved going there to get ice cream and stuff, they always had stuff.
but we've got to remember too, we've got an ice cream shop out there in the corner of Triangle too, that's gonna help play a role too. So we could probably do a combination of both, maybe they can work something out together. Bob, did you have anything else?
No, that was it.
No, awesome.
Thank you.
Brandon?
Yeah, just a quick update, the paper shred that we had out at the, at Didier's for Randolph County Solid Waste Management, I've got to report that, we had 33 patrons come through and participate in the paper shred, and they said that was one of their largest, events that they've actually had. And it
Fantastic.
was here in Union City, so
Great job.
that's a good thing to report here. And then the other thing was I got, I know the past couple of meetings I've talked about the swim blocks. We have quotes in hand. They were actually as in your council packets. I'm not sure if now would be a good time to talk about that, or we want to hold off on that, or
Council, how did you guys feel?
Roll it out.
I'll pass those
We've
down.
had short meetings lately. Might as well roll it out. Sorry for all of you that came today.
Yeah. So I went to two different companies. One is Kiefer and one is Swim Outlets. I got quotes on 4 different blocks. There's a wide range of different options and what have you. And even when you look online, you get one price and then you call them, and what you're actually looking at online, this isn't necessarily what they're advertising, isn't what the price is. So I kind of did a summary here, a breakdown, included pictures of what each is. There's some additional options that with the potential for a logo and powder coating on the Swim Outlet brands. The one in the upper left here, it's called the Evolution one. It was one that when I took this to our swim coaches, this is the one that she picked out. Rayland Mills is one of our swim coaches. However, it's one that it actually is drilled into the ground. It doesn't. It's not got an anchor per se that like the other one, or a removable block like the other 3 are that we I think are wanting to move toward in terms of a removable one, so that they're not there during the pool hours. So I looked at what she had picked and kind of looked at some options that are very similar in nature, and that would be removable. And the one that she actually picked is the most expensive of the 3 when you're looking at without the options. So the one that I think we would like to move forward with would be the accelerator one. And you can see it's in the bottom left corner. It's got the side rails and the foot shock, where the record breaker one, the one to the right on the bottom from the Swim Outlet, is basically has those 2 options stripped down, and it's the same one without those options. So there is a price difference with that. For the 6 of them, without the powder coating and the logo, the 6 for the accelerator is $22,463, and the record breaker, again, the one with the stripped down options, no handrails or foot shock, it's $16,463. So it's about $6,000 difference with those options there. They said that this record breaker one, if we were to purchase that one, you could add on the handrails and the foot shock later on. But instead of $1,000 to add those options later, it's about 1.5 times. So they're about $1,500 each instead of $1,000 when you buy it up front. Again, they're removable, so you can remove them during the pool hours. It takes about 10 minutes. The anchors, when I started talking about when you look online what the prices are. And how it's different when you get out on the phone actually with a sales representative. The anchors are not included in that initial price that they have online, so the anchors are separate. That the sales representative who I spoke with said it was actually perfect that we were doing some deck work along with the replacement of the blocks, because that's the absolute best time to tear up the concrete to put the anchors in place, so we don't have to do any sort of retrofitting or customization with the purchase. So, any questions about what you're seeing here? Again, this was I put the individual quotes within the packet, or provided to Jan to put in the packet, but I created this summary to kind of put it all together in one place. So you're not kind of bouncing around trying to compare apples to apples.
In years past, when you guys travel, which one of these is what you kind of see the most? I know it's probably not exact, but Do you see the back footstop? Do you see the handrails? Is that normal? I'm not a swimmer, as you can tell. I float, but that's about it. So,
The newer pools that we go to that have replaced their blocks, it's more of like that accelerator one that we're looking at, which is kind of the in terms of price wise toward the middle here. I think the Fort Recovery pool has replaced them with those. The pool down in Eaton, Ohio, has replaced with similar ones like the ones that I'm talking about here, the accelerator one.
I think it's becoming the new norm. I know I consulted the swimmer in my household, and I am a former swimmer. And we like the accelerator as well.
Did you? Is that
So
the
we
one
could-
that you would have?
I don't like the ones on top because you have to build them, and it's like the blocks we've had in the past was just one big prong sticking up through the concrete, and I don't know. I think that wears down over time and breaks the concrete eventually. I like the fact that this is not inside. It looks like it's more stable on the ground. That foot pad, gives swimmers more stability and a more powerful takeoff. If you're into that kind of detail, and that rail helps swimmers also be in a much better position and hold themselves without fearing falling over and getting disqualified and so on. So technical swimming stuff, but that's the one I would recommend.
Well, good. I'm glad that we're on the same page. We hadn't conferred about that, but we're choosing the same one.
in regards to order time, I guess lead time, how far out do we need to order these to get them here? And then how far out would be our city guys to potentially do the concrete?
When I spoke with a representative, there's about a 12-week lead time on fabrication for the actual blocks. With the swim outlets, folks, they're actually manufactured in Bozeman, Montana, because there's a $1,473 freight charge. And I said, where are you guys located at? Because I can go pick them up for $1,400. and they said it's in Bozeman, Montana, so that's quite a ways. But they said also that they could send us the anchor ahead of time so that we're not, basically waiting for all of the materials to be here at one time. So we can do the deck work prior to them actually sending them here. But there is a lead time, 12 weeks, we're kind of on the clock to ensure that they're here in time for the next swim season. So,
Is a March or April timeframe for the concrete work feasible? Or if not earlier, if the weather holds up, Brad?
I'm sorry, I was concentrating on a thought that I was having, and I didn't even
No.
hear what you said.
You're good. What kind of time frame do you think would be appropriate to do the concrete work out there at the pool? I'm trying
Well, it's definitely gonna have to be after the temperatures are on an upswing.
Right. So you're thinking March or April?
April, May, depends on.
Or even May? When's the swim season start?
not till June. We
Okay.
actually have outdoor or indoor practices in a typical year. Over at the YMCA in Dark County.
Okay, good.
And then typically first week of June they have outdoor practices.
Okay.
What was the size? I heard some numbers earlier about the size of the concrete that we were looking at replacing.
Monte, do you have
When
there?
Dennis and I were out there looking at it, it looks to me like there's a section about 11 feet by 40 feet that really needs to be,
Okay.
because it's cracked. I mean, if you could just cut out where the
Block.
these are gonna be, you're gonna have cracked concrete behind it. So, yeah, that section there needs, that whole section behind it needs to be.
And a section that size, I don't think would be that time consuming to make that happen. I think
Okay.
once they got started on it and got it formed up, and I think it would happen in short order. And then these bolt down to the concrete.
Well, there's an anchor that you would sink into the concrete that the block would then sit into.
I got you.
That it's actually removable. There's a pin that goes in that keeps them in place, and they can be removed during the pool hours so that they're not there. And actually, we'll extend the life of them if we keep them out of the sun and elements
Weather,
during the
yeah.
yeah.
Excellent.
I'm ready to say move for it, but I don't wanna be spending all the city's money on this, so has anybody else got any?
Well, what is it, you guys have so many funds, X amount of funds raised, correct, Brandon?
I mean, we have within the current swim team's account approximately $10,000. A typical swim season, we'll spend about $6,000 on various things. We have insurance that we have to cover for the team. Given that we're in a pool, we feel that's a necessity. We spend about $3,000 on coaches' salaries. We hire typical former swimmers who are college students who are back home from school, so we pay each of them about $1,500. We also graduating seniors who have swam for at least 10 seasons. We pay out a scholarship for each of those of $250. So that could kind of vary from year to year how many people make it through or kids make it through the program for 10 years. There's a variety of other things that kind of go into it, but on average it's about $6,000 that we spend. We generate $3,000 to $4,000 a year just in bringing in funds from our home swim meets and fees that we charge the swimmers. And then I typically send out a donation letter. I actually have been kind of late on it this year. I'm going to get it out this week, but we typically bring in about $2,000 to $3,000 from the community with that donation.
So what's a figure you feel, are you, even if you're at liberty, because I imagine you can't speak for the board.
In my opinion, I think we should do the whole thing if we're gonna do it.
Okay. Well, then no argument here. I mean, that certainly would help support the swim team.
I'd rather the seniors get the $250 than them not get it in the next couple of years.
Right.
That's just my take, but I'm spending all kinds of money, so.
And hadn't we already identified funds, like at the last city council meeting? Like,
I don't recall.
Yeah, I know where you're going. I think
You mean the part of the Parks and Recreation budget or fund or?
The park.
Hey, Chad, can I ask a question?
Yes, Scott.
At the last meeting, I brought up that Glenn Rose, which was on the swim team, I believe, he works for the manufacturer of this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't think he reached out to him, or I know he didn't call me and ask me about it, but we could probably cut out the middleman, somebody that actually makes this equipment. I mean, he may be able to cut out the middleman, maybe it'll save some money, but I don't know if we're interested in that.
He makes this,
He
the
makes all
accelerator?
that stuff, I mean, it's on their website.
The actual, what we're looking at now? The accelerator?
Kiefer's the brand, I believe here.
Brand Kiefer and
No, it's
I don't
Swim
know if it's
Outlet.
the
Swim
brand,
Outlet.
They make all that stuff. I mean, it might be a different brand name, and I mean, if you can cut the middleman out, I mean, you're not buying it from the manufacturer, you're buying it from somebody that's selling it, that's buying it from the manufacturer. Anytime you can cut a middleman out, you're going to save money. I don't know if that's possible, but it's worth looking at.
I did not contact that individual. I didn't have any contact information. I know you mentioned it at the end of the last meeting, and I didn't circle back around with you, but I mean, it's something we could do.
I mean, it's up to you. If you don't want, if it's going to waste time, if you don't want to save the money, or if it's a chance to save time, I mean, that's up to you. It's just a possibility.
I'm not gonna speak for Brandon, but I think we vote for up to $22,463 pending the investigation of Scott's contact. If we can potentially save some money, hey, it's a win-win-win. Who knows, maybe they can make it faster than 12 weeks and their shipping's not $1,500.
They live it's in Indianapolis. It's made in
Even better. I can go pick that up.
what is this column here that says total for 6 with options?
So the optional is the logo and the powder coating. Those are the two optional kind of items. The powder coating is only on the swim outlet ones, and in speaking with the representative, she said it's not necessary for what we would be doing, because if we're removing them throughout the the swim day, we're not leaving them throughout the season or off season in place. She said it's not necessary. The only time that she said that they've really had a problem with like significant rusting or something like that is when they had them in an indoor facility, and there was some problems with their air ventilation system, and the air quality was just poor to begin with.
Ask us one, she used to do it, they powder coat.
Oh, Astral.
Yeah, well, it's over now. Tell me
Yeah,
to do it for
it's a significant cost. I mean, it's $460 per And she said it really wasn't necessary. And the other thing was the logo. And that's not something necessarily that we have to have. It's an optional expense.
We have a motion on the floor for amount up to 22.6, which gives you the flexibility to contact the entity out of Indianapolis to see if you can come even further under that. Do we have a second?
It was 22,463.
Yep.
I'll second that.
We have first and second. Jan, if you would, roll call vote.
Brandon Elmore,
I will abstain from voting.
okay.
Will you commit to definitely following up with that group?
Yes, yes.
Bob Leahy.
Yes.
Nathan Conklin.
Yes.
Tim Heiss.
Yes.
Tito Frias.
Yes.
It's only abstaining from a part of it. Okay, very good. Anything else, Brendan?
No, that's all I had.
No, great job.
Today.
Allie and Hunter, is there anything, I want to make sure every time you're here, you have an opportunity to share anything from the school perspective or community perspective. Is there anything that but you're not required to? The floor is certainly yours if you want it.
I don't think I have any at this time.
That's all right. Hunter?
Neither, I think I'm good.
That's all right. Good deal.
I'm curious on a couple things.
Yes.
They got used to it at the first meeting, so now it's the second one. Are they still on the red and blue days?
Yes.
Yeah, but we switched from going like alternating the Wednesday, like going Monday, Tuesday, alternating Wednesday, or going Thursday, Friday, alternating Wednesday. We go every other now. Switch that. So it's like this week I go Tuesday, Thursday. Last week I went Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Just like that. I don't know. I think it's better for keeping kids more, I don't know, concentrated and more time with their teacher instead of having like a period of time where they could go like 4 days without seeing any sort of teacher or having any sort of guidance.
Cool. Are either one of you involved in sports?
Yes.
What sport?
Volleyball and softball.
What's the volleyball record this year?
Oh.
5 to 15.
Yeah.
Okay. What about you, Hunter?
Baseball, football, basketball.
So football season now. What's the record?
We were
3 and 5.
5, yeah.
But that was a hard-earned 3 and 5. They easily could have been 5 and 3 or 6 and 2. They had a great season. It was a band of brothers, wasn't it?
Is it over?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And we only had like 17 players, so.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's a good effort. Sorry, I figured we don't all see each other outside of this, and might as well get the community to get to know you a little bit too. So, thanks.
Monte? Anything?
Yeah, the Clifford Avenue stormwater is proceeding there. I think they're about halfway down, or maybe a little better.
Excellent.
One thing that we ran into, or they ran into when they were cutting for the sewer or storm line replacement, the curb along that side of the street just started to disintegrate in some places. So we're looking now at possibly replacing the curb along that side of the street. So I have a quote into Milestone, the engineering company, about seeing if we can get that, because we did have funds left over in the grant because of the way the bids came in. So we'll see about replacing the curb along that side of the street. So we'll be bringing that to you maybe next meeting, hopefully.
Excellent.
And we are applying for $300,000 federal EPA brownfields grant to.
It's the back of your packet.
Yeah, it's an assessment grant for the body company trying to get finish some of the cleanup down there and a couple other locations in town. So that will be going in first of next month. That's about all I have, sir.
No, good job.
Monty,
Sir?
is there enough funds there for like maybe sidewalks too on Clifford, or?
Not with the way the curb bid came in, but yeah, Brad and I were talking when we were down there. We would surely love to replace the sidewalks down there
This is the
too.
last time I think I've been down through there.
Yeah.
It's pretty bad.
Yeah. So we check that and see if, one, if there's enough funding, and two, if it fits within the grant structure. But yeah, like a lot of places, it could use new sidewalks.
Thank you.
Ryan?
Well, the first thing I would say is, we just had our hearing this past Thursday for the elimination of the nuisance motion to enforce police order on the condemned house on Oak Street, across from the laundromat. The court went ahead and granted our petition, and I submitted the proposed order. I would imagine we'll get it back signed tomorrow, so then that'll be. And I would say that I think that our plan for putting all of those in circuit court, having an emergency hearing, and then followed up with about 30 days later with a hearing actually on the demolition, to enforce the demolition. I think that works out really well. I would also say that our ordinance officer, who I think was just here,
Yes.
Gavin, Officer Teeter,
Yep.
he's really doing a good job. I mean, he seems like he's about 12 years old to me. Not just because I'm so old, not because of him.
Right.
He's doing a great job. Put him up on the stand, you
Yeah.
know. He didn't freak out or
Good,
anything, so
good.
it's, yeah, so it was good.
That 120 West Oak is a great, or is it what, east? Yeah. Oak. That's a great example of the chief and his department's efforts, and our street superintendent, Brad Mink, and his department's efforts, and your efforts. All you guys played a hand in getting that property where it is, and getting it further down the road, so it doesn't become any more of a nuisance. It's already had been, it has been. So.
And I've never, honestly, with all of these I've done in the past, this is the fastest I've ever got us into court.
Excellent.
So I think that's, and I just think it's because the court that I filed it in is way less busy than Superior Court.
Gotcha.
They're kind of like the workhorse, you know, their docket's full all the time.
Right.
So I think that's probably a good shift.
Good.
To do.
Excellent.
So,
Yep. Excellent. Thank you.
Are there still people there? Because I mean, I know that there were like 3 or more.
people who are not supposed to be there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, squatters.
Wow. Here I went there canvassing votes.
Yeah.
Anything else, Ryan?
No, unless you want me to roll into the property renovation.
Well, why don't you, because we have no presenter, so yeah, I'm just gonna give a brief update, which if you wanna share that.
Oh, well, no, you go ahead.
Well, okay.
Yeah, no, then
Yeah, it's just the fact that you're modeling after another community,
Yeah.
and still, you're on finally on the winning end, hopefully acquiring that
Yes.
information
Yes.
to be able to present to us then.
And I spoke with Nathan, I'm still working on it, I've got some questions I wanna ask at Rushville, I've got some emails out. I'm patterning, I don't know if that's a verb, the whole thing on Rushville's.
Perfect.
And, I think I'll have it, I'm certain I'll have it for review for the next packet.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. I appreciate that. Great job. The only other item in old business is ordinance 2020-21, which is the salary ordinance, and that is on the second reading. If there are no questions, I would entertain a motion for approval.
I'll move we accept ordinance 2021, or 2020-21 salary ordinance on the second reading by title only.
We have first, we have second.
I'll second.
Is that Bob?
Yep.
Yeah. Janet, you would, roll call vote.
Brandon Elmore,
Yes.
Bob Leahy.
Yes.
Nathan Conklin.
Yes.
Tim Heiss.
Yes.
Peter Freitas.
Yes.
All right, new business, ordinance 2020-22, this is the elected official salary ordinance. This is on the first reading. As you'll see there, unless my eyes deceive me, there were no changes.
Correct. No changes at all.
No increases in salary for city council.
Or mayor. Or judge, yeah, or treasurer.
Those are the typos.
But being no changes whatsoever, I would entertain a motion for approval.
I'll move we accept ordinance 2020-22 elected official salary ordinance on the first reading by title only.
We have a first, do we have a second?
I'll second.
It was that
Bob also, right? Yes, Bob also, so we will call vote.
Okay, Brandon Elmore,
Yes.
Bob Leahy.
Yes.
Nathan Conklin.
Yes.
Tim Heiss.
Yes.
Tito Frias.
Yes.
All right, motion carried, first reading. Ordinance 2020-23, which is the facade ordinance, and this is also on the first reading. You guys have any, this is to mirror pretty much what we have discussed and approved in a consensus vote last meeting. Is there anything on there that you had questions on? That you wanted to bring to council, if not, or bring to the floor, if not, I would entertain a motion for approval.
Well, I just wanted to explain to people who may not have followed the last city council meeting, that this is about a program to provide funding or assistance to storefronts in downtown Union City. So this is about refurbishing and beautifying downtown Union City. So providing assistance to redo, remake, refurbish storefronts so our downtown looks more nice and attractive.
My only question I had was, do we have a designated Union City Historic Downtown District, like, map? Okay, cause I just wasn't seeing it in here, and that's why I was like, well, wanted to make sure we can make that publicly available
Yeah, we can
for businesses.
work on getting that published in some way, shape, or form, so that way everybody has an idea of
What streets is that include?
oh, it's Columbia and Oak and Pearl and, part
Goes over to, Howard
Howard,
and,
and then,
Oak Street, and both sides.
and does it go down to State Line? I don't remember going
No.
that far.
Union Street.
Goes
Union Street, yeah, it goes to Union Street.
Does it go this side of the railroad tracks?
No,
Only this side?
yeah.
Okay. I personally think we need to strike downtown.
Well, there's, I don't have it in front of me, I think there's verbiage in there that gives us leeway to go outside of the downtown, isn't there?
Yes.
I think I remember it now, I don't remember where it is in there, and I don't have it in front of me.
I feel the same way. We shouldn't restrict ourselves. If somebody brings forth a compelling argument of.
Well,
way
yeah,
that they
and
would
or
use the funds.
specially designated areas, is that what you're referencing? That gives you leeway.
Yep.
So, like, say, for example, if you had a structure that fits the mold of, you know, a business that, a historic storefront could stand to benefit, or, it doesn't have, you know, even if it's not historic, if it's a storefront, that its rehabilitation means economic vitality to the long-term picture of the community, I think that's what we're all about.
Yeah, I don't think we have to limit ourselves to historic
Correct.
buildings.
Yeah, good commercial
Yeah.
business, but, yeah. So, yeah, you are, to Monte's point, you are covered there by the verbiage at the end of paragraph 1. If there's no further questions, I would entertain a motion.
I will move that we adopt ordinance 2020-23, facade ordinance on the first reading by title only.
We have
I'd
a-
second.
We have a first and second. Jan, if you would roll call vote? Sorry, Nate.
Okay, Brandon Elmore.
Yes.
Bob Leahy.
Yes.
Nathan Conklin.
Yes.
Tim Heiss.
Yes.
Tito Frias.
Yes.
Now, for the sake of
To
brevity
roll on the
and
back side of that, do we have anybody ready to present at the next council meeting? I know Steve mentioned he may have people.
Nathan, I have officially not encouraged anybody to come, cause I didn't know if you were gonna pass it all tonight, or if it was gonna take.
Should we
two
suspend the
meetings,
rules and do
so
that?
I can start working
Suspend the
on
rules.
it if you're ready.
since it was a unanimous vote, you are welcome to suspend the rules.
I think I can have people here within 2 meetings ready to present, to get projects moving.
All right. Question to Jan. Do we have potentially $20,000 in this year's budget that we could give towards businesses
No.
facelift? No?
Well, we do, as I explained, I think, in the email, I would have to do an additional appropriation. So
Okay.
I am asking, I mean, if you guys do that, I don't know that it'll move forward fast enough, but since I'm doing an additional appropriation anyway, we could go ahead and additionally appropriate $20,000 along with the 10 that I already need to do. And then if anything does happen, then we would have the money appropriated. That would only be for this year
And if it doesn't, then it just rolls.
It rolls over to next year.
I mean, well, it doesn't roll over, it just goes away and goes to next year.
Okay, okay.
So,
And-
so it
and
won't make any
Steve's-
difference.
Please
Yeah,
keep in
general.
mind, in my mind, for a lot of these projects, we're looking at probably, and Tim, you can back this up or tell me I'm nuts, but you're probably looking at about a 3-month window to get something completed. Till you get product ordered, product delivered, installed.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
You guys go through your final approvement process to actually appropriate the money and issue a check.
Yeah, I think he's got a good point. So, what you're saying, it's not likely we're gonna be writing checks before the end of the year.
It would have to be a project that's literally shovel-ready, waiting for this thing to pass. And I think there's projects that are close to that, but
Yeah.
So,
Tim, in your expert opinion, do we have any weather days that anything could happen outside?
It's hard to tell, sometimes we get a fall that you can get a lot of things done, and then other times if you have, every day or 3 days out of the week that are rainy and garbage, you don't get anything
It's a
done
crapshoot.
without severe weather even.
Right.
And sometimes you get, we'll have times where we've got guys working hard up till Christmas outdoors, and other times Thanksgiving you're done, so.
Yeah, it's a crapshoot.
It's both ways, and
I personally would like for you guys to pass it tonight, so I can go confidently to these merchants and say, this is at your disposal.
Well,
Right.
and that's
see
what,
if anybody's ready to come to
to-
council.
to
Right.
Steve's point about the time frame, I think that it would be good to pass it tonight, even knowing that we may not necessarily have anything to move forward on before the first of the year, but and like I say, Jan's doing additional appropriations, we can do that, it doesn't really affect anything, we don't have to feel obligated to make something happen. If we don't use it,
Okay.
so,
There's no
Well,
offset.
if we don't use it, it just stays.
probably
in
the,
fund, so.
probably the prudent thing to do would be to, and I'll make this in form of a motion for suspending the rules, just to suspend the rules and move forward with that, with the expectation that Jan will bring us an additional appropriation in the next meeting. But I move we suspend the rules.
We have a motion to suspend the rules. We have a second?
I second.
We have a first and second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Nay. Rules have been suspended.
I just want to note, I think it's written in a way that it's not just present and then you're funded and then you execute.
Yeah.
It can also be as a reimbursement.
Yeah.
So, am I reading this right? Could technically there have been something done in the last few months? that
Well, I don't think we want to get in
qualify
the habit
for
of retroactively funding a project that would have
Where do
been.
you see anything about the reimbursement?
let me reread it, sorry.
I think this should be the type of thing that's gonna put somebody who's been, saving and trying to do a project, and it's gonna get them over the hump.
Moving forward, yeah.
Do they have to pay it back?
No.
Or should we just give them money away?
Well,
I mean, most places, I mean,
invest-
if it's
well,
your business, I
it's-
mean, like me, I put all my money into that, it's not even my building. I put over 10,000 in it, and then I stopped to pay, I had to take a loan, I pay it back.
Well, this is a program you could take advantage of, you could
I'm
utilize.
done now. I did it
But if
all
there's other
myself.
projects you're
You
wanting
still
to
need a
do.
sign, right?
Huh?
Yeah,
Well,
you
no,
mentioned
I
that.
guess Steve's got it.
No, not that sign, not just one welcoming me.
Oh, you need a permanent sign.
Yeah, I gotta get one that's flashy on the corner, the one I want, 7,000.
If you wanna make it retroactive, I got your big bill.
Well, I'm just saying,
We
I mean,
spent a ton on ours.
yeah, it's the spirit of this ordinance is moving forward. Yeah, to keep our eyes focused on the future, so. Certainly not to disparage anything that's been done. So we have a suspension of the rules sitting on the floor currently. I would hereby entertain a motion on a second reading by title only.
I will move that we adopt ordinance 2020-23 on the facade ordinance on the second reading.
I'll second that.
I'll
I'll second it.
We have a first by Bob and a second by Brandon.
Roll call vote.
Thank you.
Brandon Elmore?
Yes.
Bob Leahy?
Yes.
Nathan Conklin?
Well, I guess I got a question still to Tito. He's got his finger on a piece of paper.
Well, I couldn't quite find it, but I'm still looking.
I guess the clarification needs to be this is not retroactive. This is only moving forward?
It's our decision to make, I mean, in terms
That's
of,
true, that's very
Yeah,
true.
it's still our decision.
Yes, I approve.
And so if it does say something, we can strike it.
We can always check.
we can not approve the project.
Okay, so we're approving without it being retroactive.
Okay. Nathan?
Yes.
Yes. Tim?
Yes.
Tia?
Yes, sorry.
Sorry, convoluted way to get through that, but.
That's all right. Better to have clarity. Wastewater plant change order number 6. Monte, did you want to address this, or do you want me to have Brad take it?
Well, Brad and I can double team it, I guess. The first two items on the change order are items that have to be done. They were, the current transformers, they needed to be, or they have to be changed out because the first two were lost in the demolition process. And the second about the gas meter, that's something that the manufacturer has deemed that it needs to be changed from its current position to within 1 foot of the ceiling in order for it to operate correctly. And seeing as that protects our people from gassing, that's pretty important. Now the rest of the requests on the change order were items that we have requested be done. Most all the stuff that's on there would have been on the original request. It's just that we were afraid they were going to push the project over budget. And when the budget came in as well as it did, then that left quite a bit of money in contingency. So this is just basically putting those projects, or those pieces of the project back in, and all of which are pretty significant to the operation of the new plant. If you've got any technical questions, I'm sure Brad can give you any answers to that.
There'll be a test on all the material that was in your packet later on.
Only 39 pages.
Yeah.
So I did have a question about the Gehrig contracting quote for anaerobic digester selective demolition. So it describes the work, includes labor, material, equipment, and overhead to complete the following work, saw cut digester. I'm not gonna read it all, but it's just really short anyway. And then it gives us a round figure of 17,250. Seems to me if they could detail that, what different things cost, my guess is that we could probably get that price down. I could be wrong. There's room for skepticism.
I didn't hear exactly, which, was it a digester?
It's demolition of the old digester and then replacing or refitting the building and tightening up, put roof on.
Yes.
Does that seem like a fair price to you? I mean,
It's quite a bit of work.
Okay, because I usually like to see the
roof is
detail.
gonna be included, there's gonna be several appenditures, or whatever you might wanna call them, roof penetrations that are gonna be eliminated. There's going to be a tank on the back side, which I can't recall what year that was put in out there.
Oh, that's like
Way back.
way back. That was when they used to boil off.
Yes, that was the
to
original
do water.
digester. They're gonna eliminate all that and remove that clear down. It goes, I don't know how many feet down into the ground, and all that'll be removed and backfilled, and
A lot of old cast iron equipment has to come out. And
I've got a question on that. Isn't there a third-party engineer reviewing all this before it gets submitted to the group? That's on behalf of the city, correct? Midwestern Engineers had somebody out there? Not
yeah,
Midwestern.
they have.
So it was reviewed by a third-party group that is on behalf of the city, correct?
yes,
Yeah, Midwestern.
yes.
So the detail that you're potentially looking for, at least it's been covered by somebody that.
Okay.
Yes, the
A
engineer's
professional that
been
knows what
involved.
they're
Yeah,
doing.
professional, I don't know. You can give me the details.
Someone who
I still
knows
wouldn't have
that,
a clue.
you know, some or other doesn't cost that much.
Well, I mean, as far as demolition goes, I don't know how you break it down any further than what is listed in that anyway. I mean, it's demolition. You're not adding materials or, I don't know how you break
Yeah,
it down.
I'm real
You tell me
familiar with
demolition
that,
is.
I'm pretty familiar with that spot and what this entails, and it's fairly just pretty descriptive of what needs to be done. There's not really much in terms of materials other than fill material that's included. I mean, he didn't itemize the actual materials out of the labor, but otherwise it's primary costs beyond labor are disposal and fill material.
Are there any other questions? If not, I would entertain a motion for approval of the change order.
Question, how are we
Yes.
doing on the, I can't remember what it's called, piggy bank for this?
Contingency.
We still under,
Oh, yeah.
We're
like-
way under.
Yeah.
alright, cool.
Good.
600,
Good to know.
we'll have
Yep.
600,000
Can I ask one question?
left.
They said that they're replacing something from, that got broken during demolition, is that true, or,
In the,
No,
oh, I thought they said that,
The CTs, the current controllers on the transformers.
were destroyed during demolition?
Yeah, but,
Shouldn't that be replaced by whoever destroyed it?
well, they should pretty much be replaced anyway, cause they were like 1960 or something like that.
That doesn't make it okay to destroy it, though. In my opinion.
Well, again, to Nate's point earlier, Midwest Engineers that's why we have an oversight engineering company that this is their skill set and helping govern this project and make sure everything is done accordingly. So we can certainly defer to Midwest on that and if there stays wrong.
I think the issue with that was when they had it remove the old service panel out there, there was just no way
Without damaging.
to separate those out without,
Right.
yeah.
For something that was 60 years old.
Yeah, and to just, I mean, for people who may not be understanding or have the material in front of them, it was a $530 charge for an $8 million project. So, I mean, it's a very small
yeah,
and
that was.
grand scheme of things.
Well, the people out here don't see that, so, I
Yeah,
mean, that's one of the things I brought up the last time, we don't see what's in front of you, so.
Yeah, we don't have those linked to the website yet, but patience. So, I would entertain a motion for the wastewater plant change order.
I move we accept the wastewater plant change order number 6 as described.
We have a first, do we have a second?
I'll second. Sorry.
Jan, if you would, roll call vote.
Brandon Elmore,
Yes.
Bob Leahy.
Yes.
Nathan Conklin,
yes.
Tim Heiss,
Yes.
Peter Frias.
Yes.
All right, now the edit plan 2021-2022. Trust you've had a chance to review this. If you'll note, if you wonder at all, it's rather broad or general on purpose to give the city the flexibility because a lot changes over the course of not just a year, but within months or even weeks, or sometimes in a pandemic days. So the flexibility is needed there for the allocation of funds to go according to what the city is faced with at a given moment in time. And this is what would be then submitted to the county upon approval from the council.
So, Scott, to give you some insight here, $186,000 is what we would potentially get. $40,000 will go towards maintenance, repairs, ADA compliance. $70,000 towards improvements, demolition. $90,000 for housing infrastructure. Redevelopment commission is $50,000, and economic development is $175,000. That does not add to 186. Total project cost $425,000. We're getting money from the county, and essentially have money to make these happen from the edit group. Does that help?
How much was the to replace what they destroyed.
Oh, you're talking about on the wastewater?
I believe he said $530.
$530.
Yeah, but this is a separate topic.
Yeah.
Is what he was talking about.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, any questions regarding the proposed edit plan?
Yes. I was just wondering if we could use some of those funds to pay for the city's part of sidewalk repair, or to finance citizens' contributions to be repaid afterwards. I think we discussed at some point in the past that, you know, some people, I mean, sure, they can pay for it, but they don't have the funds available. But if the city could front some money, then they could pay, I don't know, in installments over, I don't know how long. But could we use some of these funds for that?
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing that says you couldn't.
Yep, yep.
Yeah, and certainly, again, just to reiterate, one thing that we do have standing currently is our offer to remove the current sidewalk. The city will, on our dime. And then the property owner would be, you know, responsible for having the new one laid. So that's already available. But yeah, to your point, absolutely, that flexibility is there.
Yeah, which that can fall in the housing infrastructure automatically anyway. Yeah.
But in order to have something public, we probably need some framework in place.
Correct. Correct. And the city used to, just to give you background, when I first started on council, I think Tim, yeah, we started at the same time. Well, actually, I started just before you, until name for Mike Seidelman. And we had was it a 25 or 50% match? 50% match. Yeah, Monte, you were known too. So, yeah, 50% match. There was some scuttlebutt in the community from some folks that they thought it should be completely the property owner's responsibility, and they didn't want their tax dollars going to the replacement of the sidewalk. That's an argument you could easily make either way. Because on the other end of it too, well, how much do you love your community? Because do you really want your neighbors or their grandparents or your, you know, you name it, walking down a sidewalk and tripping and falling or getting hurt because the sidewalk's in disrepair? It's in disrepair because the property owner didn't have the funds at the time to make the repairs. I don't know. I mean, that argument can be made. On the flip side of the coin, somebody said, well, if you're gonna own your property, you gotta be able to keep it up. You gotta be able to replace sidewalk yourself. That's part of being a property owner. I mean, you could do that argument all day long. So it's gonna have to come down to what you guys are comfortable with in terms of what you think is fair and equitable. I don't think there's any dispute the sidewalks need attention. I think that everybody would agree on that.
Are you, did I understand you correctly though? Were you meaning that we need maybe a different ordinance or resolution or something to?
I was suggesting you work with other communities to get something drawn up.
Okay. Yeah, okay, I can do that. I mean, it's, I know
I mean,
Greenville has
get
had
some
that.
research
has done
just
that.
to see
Greenville
what
is-
other communities are doing. Are they paying for 25%? Are they paying for 50? They're paying for none? I imagine
Some
you can
communities are
find-
forcing.
Yeah,
their-
some communities are
Greenville.
forcing it, like,
Yeah, Greenville, I think is doing that.
if we're gonna give it, are we gonna also
Yeah,
enforce,
but
and
St.
then
Mary's.
it's an ordinance?
Yes.
St. Mary's will give you X amount of days to fix your sidewalk, or they'll fix it and put it on your taxes.
Yeah. And Greenville's done something very similar.
Mhm. Yeah.
And,
Sorry, Cheeto, I got a couple things on my plate.
So that would be separate, like that would be like a separate ordinance or resolution. I'm asking if these funds for edit, if we can include for that.
In
yes,
the
you can
ordinance-
allocate those.
In the
for-
ordinance, you would write it to say, we would take $30,000 of this fund from edit to go towards 25% of people's sidewalks on first come, first served basis approved by council.
So we don't need to include that.
We don't
No,
have to-
That's why it's
Okay.
very broad.
Okay, okay.
Good question.
Yeah, it's
That would
it's
be
fairly,
Line 1 or line 3.
Yeah.
If there are no other questions,
yeah.
I would entertain a motion for approval.
I'll move we approve the edit plan for 2021, 2022.
We have a
Presented.
Do we have a second?
I second.
Jan, if you would, roll call vote. One last time.
Brandon Elmore,
Yes.
Bob Leahy,
Yes.
Nathan Conklin,
Yes.
Tim Heiss.
Yes.
Peter Frias.
Yes.
All right. Farm ground lease. You see there, you've got a,
What I'm asking
Yes.
is normally, I don't know, about every other year I put it out for, I put a notice in the paper and put it out for bid. And then, so it would be time for a bid if that's what council wants me to do. Or, you know, we just see if the person who's doing it now wants to continue doing it. I did have, I think it's 2 other people that did request to be notified if we were going to put it out for bid, so.
I don't have that portion of the packet in front of me. How much is this person currently paying per acre?
They're currently paying, $210 per tillable acre,
And how many acres do we have? Do you know offhand?
36.
Where is this?
Plum Street,
Oh,
back there by the church.
oh, okay.
Just, there was the $28 stipend that they got from the COVID this year, so if they sign up for it, all farmers got $28 per acre. So I asked for to split that with mine, and he said no.
You gotta ask.
Any thoughts?
Guys, this is like, I don't know, maybe off the wall or out of wherever, but I'm wondering if for this, can we consider maybe asking that glyphosate not be used on that property? Glyphosate is a herbicide. There's one sold under the name of Monsanto's Roundup, right?
Oh,
And it's been shown to cause non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, leukemia, and brain cancer. And I mean, this property or this area being right next to some residences, I would think that we would want to protect them.
certainly, council has the right to insert that into the agreement.
That's true, but right now,
We're just discussing
whether to put it out for bid or not.
Yeah. So, which would entail, that would be down the road for a future agreement, correct?
Are you asking me that?
Yes.
Yes, correct, because they'll sign, once, if we put it out for bid, and then whoever we award the bid to.
And then we create an
we
agreement.
draw up an agreement.
Yeah. So, save that, keep that, and,
Yeah.
if it's something that
Not
you want
clear,
to.
I don't know if that's something that they would wanna know before we
Yeah.
bid on it.
And that's
I guess
here too. There's-
The first step would be, could we ask the current person, do they use that?
Yeah, I don't know, we can ask them.
Probably that smell of the poop we all smell when we get on there.
It sounds like there's multiple people interested in potentially farming the ground. So with that said, I think we put it out for bid.
You guys okay?
I mean, that's the
with
question, right? I
That
mean,
is the
Right.
question.
Yeah, that's the crux of it. You guys want to put out the bid?
My question would be, has the fertilizer for the fall already been put on? Because as somebody that had some land in the past, as long as this fall's application has not been done, we can most certainly open this up. If not, if it's already been done, then we may have to reimburse for funds that are already spent
That's a
on
good
that
point.
property.
Yeah.
After it's harvested, they usually do a treatment of some kind on the land.
The last time I paid attention, they're still standing crops. I doubt that they've put anything on the farm. I would have to.
I don't think they would have done that unless they known they were gonna get the bid.
I was thinking the same thing.
Because
Yeah.
we do this, it's a yearly contract.
I guess, which one are we talking about? Where the wind turbine is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was beans. That's been down for a month.
Are you sure?
One on Plum Street?
Yes.
He walks by it every day.
Okay.
Well, I can
Well-
contact them and see, but I don't think, that was never a consideration before. They don't assume that they're gonna farm it the next year. But
Or do you want to just make the motion that you, pending
what I find.
non-application of fertilizer, that we bid it out? If nothing's been applied to the field, if I understand correctly, you guys are wanting to bid it out? And you're gonna try to find out, right, aren't you? Talks amongst yourselves while we wait for tech, no. Let's see. Well, let's table that for about 2 minutes. And do we have any visitors wishing to address the council at this time?
I do.
Okay, if you would, state your name again and
Just
address.
Holt, 514 Pearl. I'm actually wondering to know when demolition is gonna start on the Pearl Street home.
Do we have any more clarity on that, and the Pearl Street home, because we were gonna try and handle the demolition on that.
Well, we've probably been on that if not for exploding water mains and
Right. Yeah, we've done a lot of things,
pulling
which I should have
lead
said that they
lines
were
and whatever.
finishing up the stormwater. and-
We just took
the Okay.
remediation of the asbestos.
So,
I didn't know when the time frame was gonna
yeah, I'm not pointing you, okay? When are you gonna drive one of your squad cars right through that?
They've had a ton of things, had to be done immediately.
Yeah, and I shared that with, they were trying to finish up the stormwater and the water main leak down on Plum. Any thoughts on when we, maybe a window of what might be a fairly realistic shot? Cause I know
Well,
that's.
I'm gonna have 3 of my people tied up on that leaf box here in short order, so, and it's gonna be a long process. You make a round, and then you have to make another round, and you have to make another round. If the leaves would just all come down
At once.
you can go through and clean them up, that'd be one thing, but it doesn't work that way, so. We're just gonna have to call,
Can I do one thing at a time? No, it's not been treated, so we can easily make this conversation for the farm ground lease available.
Okay, well, we will come back to that. Let's go and finish this up, and then we'll be able to adjourn after that.
we're just gonna have to call and schedule dumpsters and
Yeah, you think December?
put somebody on it. I feel like it'd be a good cold weather project. I mean, when it's rainy, drizzly, snowy, cold, that guy could be inside a piece of equipment where there's heat, and, I'm hoping before the end of the year to get started.
So I say you usually get done with leaves pretty close to the 1st of December. Or is it?
I have had people ask about the leaf collection. When are you guys gonna begin?
Probably gonna start tomorrow.
Tomorrow? Okay.
Yeah.
So probably like December 5th through the 15th, general vicinity.
Before next year,
No, before the end of this year.
yeah, before 2021.
Yes, yeah, correct.
That's what I was wondering. So when the time frame was, it's gonna be spring next year?
Oh,
or-
no.
Yeah, I was just wondering how close it was.
They can do say that.
So,
Yeah, I haven't signed anything.
yeah,
have it?
and
Yeah.
I have another question
Oh, wait.
too.
Guess not.
Okay, hold on, guys.
Hold on, I got a question. We're still on that topic, so,
Okay.
sorry, we're all jumping all over the place. Are you confident your guys can do it, no problems, or would you prefer to have it bid out and done by somebody else?
Well, it's in close proximity to another house.
It's close to your
My
house.
house?
I may have made the assumption, or not the assumption, or I'm not sure what word I'm looking for, that we could do it, and we probably can get it done, but
Is your comfort level good on this one, or should you wait for one that's not so close to a house next door?
well, I think we would be better to wet ourselves on one that's not so tedious. We're not in the business of tearing houses down. I mean, yeah, anybody can tear a house down, just go in and start swinging the hoe and knocking it down. But when it's tedious, that makes a difference.
That works, that answers my question. I move we go out for bid and get 3 bids on this, tearing this down, so we can get it done by the end of the year.
One second.
We have a first and we have a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Okay.
Back to farm ground lease.
And, yeah, hold on, let's so she can
She
take
has
a
something
seat.
else.
You have one other
Fine,
question?
you're fine. I actually had a question. What are your rules? I knew you guys had started rules for people that say I buy a house and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna make this a rental. I'll make it a duplex.
Our rules?
Yeah.
Well, it has to pass inspection.
Well, no, but what if people just go ahead? I don't think these houses are getting inspected because no one knows that they need inspected.
There's a couple set of rules that are new ordinances that have been passed in the last couple of years. First of all, they have to come up and register as a rental property.
Okay.
And then before that water can be turned on there and things such as that, it has to be inspected.
I have a question.
I already am working on what you're speaking
But
of.
there's also another one too. that,
you wanna get a hold of me, I'd be more than happy to work with you, and I know the property that you're speaking of, and I'm a little flabbergasted myself, so.
yeah, because I didn't think you probably do.
I didn't.
And there's also another one with that person, so I figured.
Same person.
And that
multiple
individual knows
units.
better.
And we did discover something today that, you know, I'd be more than happy to talk to you about, so.
Yeah, that'd
just
be
come up
great.
and talk to me, or I can come to where you're washing the doggies and talk to you there.
Yeah, well, no, I didn't want to cause problems.
Poppy
I
needs
just
a
was
spa
wondering
day.
It's
if
no
there
problem.
was, if there was rules, I don't want to be that
These are
person.
the kind of things that I want the public to bring to our attention, because,
Right.
you know, we don't go house to house and say, have you been inspected, or, you know, and things
Yeah,
like
it's kind
that.
of
And
wrong.
and things slip through the cracks, so these are the things that we want brought to our attention so that we can do the follow-up, and we're more than happy to do the follow-up. And I did spend some time today doing some background investigation on that specific property, and we'd be more than glad to talk to
Because
you about
there's
it.
several other ones that person's wanting to buy in Berlin.
Yeah, and, yeah, that's kind of what we're suspecting at this point, so.
Yeah, I just didn't think it'd be nice for our community to get put down after we're trying to build it up so much. And
Exactly.
Yep, you're correct, so, and
You
it
got
has
the
been brought
right
to our
ideas.
attention, and we're working on it, so.
All right,
Thanks.
thank you. Okay, so we have confirmation that the.
Nothing's been treated, it's an annual lease, and he waits for our green light or red light or rebid light.
Right to James' point, so we're good. Do we have are you wanting to motion for it to be open to bid then?
I don't really care,
Oh.
I just didn't wanna step on somebody's toes.
Right, gotcha.
Money they'd already spent, make sure that they'd have to go through the
Right.
redistribution and somebody else paying them.
What do you guys want to do?
Put it up for bid.
Yeah, I move that we put it up for bid. It sounds like there were multiple people interested in potentially farming it, so.
So first, put it up for bid.
No reason behind it.
Second?
Second.
Tito.
Thought I was first, but that's all.
All those in favor signify by saying aye and putting the farm gun up for bid.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. It will be put up for bid. All right. The date of the next city council meeting will be Monday, November 9th. Man, I can't believe it's November. 6 p.m. Date of Board of Public Works will be that same day, November 9th at 1 p.m. I would hereby entertain a motion for adjournment.
I move.
First, second by Tim. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Meeting adjourned.
Go vote.